Okay. So, we were doing the circulatory system in the last class. We were doing the circulatory system. We had talked about the three types of components that are found in blood. Okay, three components the blood is made up of. Can anyone of can any one of you name them?
blood vessels, heart, and
No,
white
Abraham.
blood cells, uh,
Yeah.
red red blood cells, and plasma.
Yes, the three components that are found in our blood are red blood cells, white blood cells, and plasma. Okay, that's right. Then we talked about blood vessels. Can you all name me the three types of blood vessels?
Artery, arteries, capillaries, and veins.
Arteries, capillaries, and veins. Very good, Abraham. Okay. Now next we have the heart. Okay. Heart is the main organ that is there in the circulatory system, which is responsible for circulation of blood, pumping of blood in our body. Heart is that pump in our body that works non-stop since birth till death, due to which the blood continuously circulates through the body. The heart of a man is situated in the chest between two lungs. Okay? The organ lies safe within a box-like structure made of ribs and the vertebral column. Okay? The heart is protected by the rib cage. Heart and lungs protected by the rib cage. Shape of the heart is somewhat like that of a fist. Okay? It looks like that of a fist. It is made up of four chambers. Okay? Four chambers are there in a heart. Four chambers are there in a heart. Okay? The two upper chambers are called oracles and two lower chambers are called ventricles. Okay, so these two upper chambers are called oracles and these two lower chambers are called ventricles. The oracles and ventricles are connected to each other through valves so that the blood can flow from oracles to ventricles. Blood but the blood from ventricles cannot flow back to oracles. Now they are connected to each other. Okay, they are like they have valves. Okay, these valves stop the backflow of the blood. Okay, the work of bringing the blood to the heart is done by the two vena cava and the pulmonary vein, and that of taking away the blood from the heart is done with the aorta and pulmonary artery. Okay. So what do they bringing like from the we talked about how from the rest of the body the blood comes to the heart. Okay, from where does it happen? Through the vena cava. Okay, here. Okay, then and the pulmonary veins. Okay, and then the taking away of blood is done by the aorta. Okay, and the pulmonary artery. Okay, let's see video on the same. See a video.
Veins are blood vessels containing blood flowing to the heart, while arteries have blood flowing from the heart. The blue is representative of blood vessels containing deoxygenated blood, while the red blood vessels have oxygenated blood fresh from the lungs. Now, let's follow the path of the blood through the heart. The superior vena cava receives blood from the head, neck, upper limbs, and chest. Meanwhile, the inferior vena cava receives blood from the trunk, viscera, and lower limbs. Both the superior and inferior vena cava end up in the right atrium, one of the four chambers of the heart. The heart not only has four chambers, it also has four valves. The purpose of the valves is to keep blood moving in the right direction and not flow backwards. Blood exits the right atrium through the tricuspid valve, so called because it has three flaps, and enters the right ventricle. The blood exits the right ventricle through the pulmonary valve and enters the pulmonary artery. Again, it is an artery because blood is flowing away from the heart, but it is blue because it lacks oxygen. The pulmonary artery then splits into the left and right pulmonary arteries, which go to each respective lung. In the lungs, gas exchange occurs. The blood discards carbon dioxide and picks up oxygen. Now, blood comes back from the lungs through the pulmonary veins, entering the left atrium. Next, the blood is pumped into the left ventricle through the mitral or bicuspid valve. Finally, the oxygenated blood leaves the left ventricle through the aortic semilunar valve, entering the aortic arch. The aorta, which is the largest of all the arteries, distributes the oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. The aortic arch has three major branches, which supply the head and arms with blood. Then the aorta curls downward behind the heart, forming the descending aorta, which descends through the chest and continues down through the abdomen. In the abdomen, the descending aorta splits to supply the pelvis and legs with blood.
If you like this video, please.
Okay. Hope it was clear how the
Ma'am,
blood flows. Yes, Abraham.
ma'am, what is the reason our heart pumps, right? Like, we are alive because of our heart is beating.
Mm-hmm.
Then what makes our heart beat?
What makes a heart beat, Abraham? See, I think it was like designed to function like that. Okay, it was designed to beat. Okay, and the beating of the heart causes the pumping of the blood. Okay, see, when the heart is beat,
Ma'am,
yes.
I mean, where does the heart get the energy from? Like, as we know, like, in everything has to have some energy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be something to power it up.
There has to be something of power in it.
So, to,
It has its own like system. Okay, it has its own system. You can say electrical system that generates signals. Okay, of like contraction and relaxation. Okay, it is known as electrical impulse. Okay, also like the power source is like no such like it's not such that has a power source and all, but yes, the blood, the nutrients, all the base nutrition in the body, only that is the heart's power source too. Okay, you can look it up further. Okay, you can look this up further and know that how the beating of heart happens. Okay, working of heart. Now we saw the structure. We saw that made up of four chambers. Okay. When the pumping happens, when the heart beats, the blood, due to this contraction and relaxation, the blood flows from one chamber to another. Okay, from one chamber to another, and it is first the deoxygenated blood is comes to the heart, it flows to the lungs, it comes back to the heart, and then the heart pumps it back to the rest of the body. Okay, that is the thing which the work that is performed by the four chambers of the heart. The veins coming from the upper and lower parts of the body join and form the vena cava. The vena cava open in the right auricle of the heart. Okay, so what happens is then pulmonary veins, they bring oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left auricle. Okay, and the vena cava and the pulmonary veins bring the blood to the heart at the same time. The auricles and the ventricles contract and relax alternatively. When the contraction and relaxation takes place, the blood moves forward. Okay, the blood is pushed forward to the next atrium. Okay, and the valve is like shut. Okay, that thing happens. One cycle of contraction, relaxation of both the muscles of both the auricles and ventricles is called a beat. Okay, one cycle where the contraction relaxation takes place is 1 beat. Okay, the heart of human beats 72 times in 1 minute. We can feel this by our hands. Doctors use a stethoscope to hear this beat. Okay, so heartbeat is the relaxation and contraction, and in 1 minute, 72 times this process is happening. Okay, of relaxation and contraction. And if our heartbeat increases, then the times that our heart relaxes and contracts, it increases. Okay, the blood flow in our body increases. When our heartbeat increases, the blood that is flowed in our body also increases. Why? Because more blood is pumped. Okay? If heart beats more, if the contraction relaxation takes place more, then obviously that the blood that is flowing in the body also will be more. Okay? It will increase. Okay, in the times of fear, in the times of um, like in at some points of times, like before an examination or something, when our heartbeats increase, the blood flow in our body increases. Also, there is a hormonal increase also, adrenaline. Okay, in tense situations and fear. Okay, before an exam, before a situation. So it all like it's the heart and it's some reactions in the brain which causes us to feel how we feel in those situations. Okay, so mainly the diagram of heart is important. Okay, do the diagram of heart. All right, the four chambers. Okay, working of the heart is also important. You can make your own notes. Okay, in the form of flow chart. In book, it is like it's given in continuation. But if you want, you can make your own notes by putting points. Like write 1, the blood comes in this chamber. Put 2, blood flows through this vein. Put 3, and then you can make your own notes about the working of heart. Okay. Can you show another diagram easy to understand? Yes, Abraham. I'll show you another diagram that's easy to understand. Okay, so make your own diagrams. You can prepare a flow chart, okay, about the working of the heart so that any way which is easy for you to remember, you can learn, okay?
Ma'am,
One
how
sec.
do we draw the art? It looks hard. It looks too complicated to draw.
You can just look up for a more simpler diagram, Abraham, okay? You can look for a simpler diagram.
Ma'am, it looks 3D even.
Can you see the one I have on my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's not 3D and it's not it's not too complicated. Okay, like compared to the book one, this one is not 3D. This is an actual diagram. Okay, so take a look at it. Okay, if it is even closed, you are able to make close. What should be clear is the four chambers. Like in this one, how it's clear: the left ventricle, right ventricle, right auricle, and left auricle. Okay, also the pulmonary aorta and pulmonary veins should be there. Okay, and the vena cava you have to mark. All those things you have to mark. Okay, see very clearly, we can see in this diagram. Okay, since it is a diagram, it's very clearly visible that here is the aorta. Okay, here we can see the pulmonary veins. Then left auricle we can see, left ventricle we can see. Okay, then right ventricle we can see here, aortas we can see here. Okay, inferior vena cava, this is right auricle and superior vena cava. Okay, do them, do their locations, do the working of the heart. Okay, importance of the heart. Why is the heart important? Circulatory system, its major function. Okay, do that. And let's move on to the notes. Any doubt in heart? Any other question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The blood sent by the heart to the arteries is accompanied with a jerk and exerts a pressure on the arterial walls. This is called blood pressure. You can feel this pressure in our arteries. It can be felt quite well in the wrist. This is called pulse rate. It can be felt 72 times in 1 minute. Okay. Now, see, blood is sent by the heart to the arteries. Okay, and it comes with pressure. See, when the blood flows, okay, it exerts a pressure on the arterial walls. Now, sometimes when the pressure can be too high, okay, so people say that BP is high, blood pressure is high. Okay, their blood pressure is high. If you've heard that BP is high, blood pressure is high, this is the reason behind it. Okay, or sometimes it may happen that this pressure that it is exerting might be very less, very less. Okay, it has to be at a normal range. Okay, the blood pressure. If it is very less, then also people might say that BP is very less, blood pressure is less. Okay, then you have pulse rate. Okay, pulse rate, the pressure in our arteries, it can be felt in the wrist, it can be felt in the neck. Okay, 72 times in 1 minute. All right. Then 4.4 is homework for you. This is homework for you. Next is the excretory system in man. Okay. Now, excretory system is a system that is responsible to for the removal of the waste products from our body. Okay. When we eat food, the digestion happens of the food gets digested in our body. Okay. Now, in during the digestion process, the food is broken down. Okay. The nutrients from the food is absorbed by our body. Okay. Once all the nutrients are absorbed by our body, what is left, what is remaining is the waste. Okay. That is nutrientless waste product inside our body. What is the main function of excretory system is that the excretory system helps in the removal of that waste. It is made up of some components like kidneys, okay, uterus, and urinary bladder. Okay, so now Kidneys are also kidneys also help in removing the waste substance, okay, of blood. Okay, filtration of blood. Yes, Abraham, sure. Um, so and uterus and urinary bladder, okay, they also helps the removal of waste products through urine, okay, through urination. All right, let's give this a read. Many chemical reactions take place in our body all the time. Many substances are formed due to these reactions, which are wasted, which are waste, and it is essential to remove them from the body. Otherwise, they may cause poisonous effect on our body. The process of removal of waste substances from our body is called excretion. Okay, see, this is the definition of excretion that you can mark. Process of removal of waste substances from a body is called excretion. The blood collects the waste substances from all cells of the body. Out of these, carbon dioxide is taken to the lungs and is excreted through breath. For the removal of other soluble substances from the body, a specialized system, an excretory system, is there. The main parts of the excretory system are the kidneys. Okay, the kidneys are organs shaped like bean seeds. They sieve the blood and remove the waste substances in the form of urine. Okay, then uterus. Uterus is a pipe-like thing that comes out from each kidney. They collect the urine from kidneys and then they transport it to the urinary bladder. Then urinary bladder, the urine brought through the uterus is collected in this bag-like structure called urinary bladder. When it gets filled up to a certain level, then we feel the urge to urinate. The urine passes through urethra and is released out of the body, and the body is cleansed. Okay, so this was about the main parts of the excretory system: kidneys, uterus, and urinary bladder. Sometimes the kidneys of a person they stop working. What happens then? When this happens, the excess of waste material in the blood becomes very harmful. If the blood is not filtered in time, then it may lead to death. Okay, kidneys play a very vital role in filtration of blood. Okay, you must have heard the term kidney failure. Okay, kidney failure. So what happens in that case is the kidneys stop working. Fortunately, we have two pairs of kidneys. A person can live on one kidney too. Sometimes there are cases where both the kidneys fail. Okay. What happens then? Then the blood is filtered through a machine. Okay, like the blood is artificially filtered. Your body is connected to a machine. Okay, and then your blood goes in it. Okay, and then filtered in it, and then is transported back into your body. That is system is known as dialysis. Okay, where when the kidneys stop functioning, the blood is filtered through machine. Okay, it is the process is known as dialysis. Some of the waste materials of a body are also removed through sweat. By sweating or perspiration, the waste materials are removed from our body, and due to the evaporation of sweat, the skin becomes cool as well. Okay, so sweat also, the waste comes out of our body in the form of sweat, urine, faces. Okay, um, all of those things are means by which the waste from our body comes out. Okay, understood the process of excretion.
Yes, ma'am.
Shri and Anna, hope you all are there. Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. One video on excretory system.
haircut in the media for 4 minutes of bugging buggers. Edited time ready. Worst.
Is it true that some body systems are more familiar, well known? For example, the circulatory system. Many automatically know it includes the heart. Nervous system, yeah, the brain and many other things involved with it. Digestive system, we know the overall function and many structures of it. Muscular system, okay, you get the point. We're adding to our body system's video collection, but there's one system that I notice people aren't quite sure about what it includes, nor do they realize how incredible it is. It's the excretory system. In this video, we're going to introduce the human excretory system, and then put extra focus on the kidneys, and then the nephron. The nephron we save for later, so don't skip too much or you miss the best part. Okay, so let's consider 2 obstacles that have to be addressed for survival. I mean, there's a lot of obstacles, but here are 2 big ones. 1, you have to maintain an osmotic balance. That means you gotta find an osmotic balance by managing the water and the solutes in the body. And 2, you have to get rid of metabolic waste. What's metabolic waste? Well, it could include carbon dioxide or nitrogenous waste, which occur from the breakdown of proteins. There's a lot of protein breakdown in metabolic processes after all. The excretory system focuses on addressing those 2 major issues. Many organs and structures have roles in addressing these 2 issues and therefore serve roles in the excretory system. The skin, which can excrete water and substances. The liver, highly involved in detoxification and produces urea. More on urea later. The lungs, which excrete the gas waste carbon dioxide. And those organs are also involved in other systems. Remember, body systems don't work in isolation. The skin is an organ of the integumentary system. The liver is an accessory organ in the digestive system. Lungs are organs of the respiratory system. But our focus in our short time is going to be on another set of organs that play a huge role in the excretory system, the kidneys. In fact, we could say the urinary system if we went to isolate to these structures. Kidneys, there are 2, and found in the lower back. The bladder, a single sac that will hold urine. Ureters, there are 2, and these drain the urine produced from the kidneys to the bladder. Urethra, a single tube where the urine will travel out of the body. So urine is produced by the kidneys, and we're going to focus on the process that makes urine. Blood is filtered by the kidneys, producing urine, which is a portion of the body's waste products that need to be excreted. A reminder, we like to show a general and simplified version of very complex topics, so explore our description for more. We start with this beautiful thing called the nephron. Each kidney has tons of them. Like, one kidney can have 1,000,000 of these things. They are the functional unit of the kidney. The nephron has a lot of different parts, but its overall goal is to process waste products from the blood to create urine. The first part of the nephron that we'll talk about has something called the glomerulus, which you could consider a specialized mass of capillaries. It is surrounded by this, the Bowman's capsule. Blood pressure forces fluid from the blood in the glomerulus into the Bowman's capsule. Once the fluid is in the Bowman's capsule, the fluid is called the filtrate. What's in filtrate? Well, here are a few major things: water, some glucose and amino acids, salts, H+ ions, bicarbonate ions, other ions, some medications if applicable, some vitamins, and urea, a nitrogenous waste produced by the liver that the body needs to get rid of. So the nephron is going to take this filtrate through the ride of its life while it will process it. Some of the filtrate is reabsorbed, meaning some of the filtrate will cross the barrier of the nephron back into the fluid surrounding the nephron, also called the interstitial fluid, and eventually circulate again through the body. But in order to get rid of some components and eventually excrete them as urine, those items will be in the tubes of the nephron, eventually to form urine. Some substances that enter or leave the nephron, they might travel by diffusion or facilitated diffusion, and those transport types move with the gradient from high to low concentration. But sometimes substances are transported by active transport, requiring ATP. Let's go. We're going from the Bowman's capsule to proximal tubule. Proximal can mean near, and it is the tubule nearest the glomerulus. Important because there is another tubule later on. In this proximal tubule, NaCl moves to the interstitial fluid. A little about NaCl, it is a salt. I'm going to say NaCl in this video a lot, but realize that to enter or leave, the Na and Cl can separate to go through separate proteins. Water will follow by osmosis, which makes sense as this area is hypertonic due to the NaCl. Therefore, we say salt and water are reabsorbed because they're not staying in the nephron here. They're going to the interstitial fluid. Other substances like glucose, amino acids, potassium, and bicarbonate are also reabsorbed, again meaning they're going to the interstitial fluid by either active or passive transport. Now, when we say reabsorbed, not all of these are 100% reabsorbed, and so some concentrations of these remain in the filtrate. Now, what is secreted? Meaning what will move from outside the tubule, the fluid surrounding this area of the nephron, into the proximal tubule. H+ ions and ammonium ions are some items secreted. With what's being reabsorbed and secreted, like bicarbonate and H+, you can tell the proximal tubule is important for pH regulation. Now we move into the loop of Henle. It has a descending limb going down and ascending limb going up. We'll start with the descending limb going down. There's a lot of aquaporins here. Remember those channels? Aquaporins make it easy for water to travel through. So the water can get reabsorbed here because the water can get out of the loop and into the interstitial fluid. And by osmosis, water would travel that way as the interstitial fluid is hypertonic at this part. That means the interstitial fluid has a higher solute concentration than the filtrate. And remember that water generally has a net movement towards hypertonic areas. Now, the descending limb of Henle doesn't have channels for most solutes, like salt, and so NaCl is stuck in the nephron. So you descend down and water continues to exit. The solute concentration inside the filtrate of this descending limb continues to increase. Time to go up the ascending limb of Henle. Now, there aren't aquaporins here, meaning the water in the filtrate can't get out. But there are proteins that the NaCl can now travel through to leave and get reabsorbed. So in the thin segment of this ascending limb, NaCl will diffuse out. It makes sense that it would. The NaCl is moving from a high concentration of NaCl in the filtrate to a lower concentration of NaCl in the interstitial fluid. Now, in the thick segment of the ascending limb, NaCl continues to exit the nephron, but this time it's pumped out by active transport. So if you are losing all this salt, you can imagine it is making the filtrate very dilute at this point. Okay, now on to the distal convoluted tubule. In this area, you'll see H+, ammonium, potassium, and more substances secreted, which means into the filtrate it goes, whereas substances like NaCl, water, and bicarbonate will be reabsorbed, meaning they're exiting the filtrate to be reabsorbed into the interstitial fluid. This distal tubule also contributes to pH regulation. And now it is time for the collecting duct. It is time for this filtrate to become urine. NaCl will be able to be reabsorbed, water too, but hormonal control really regulates the amount of water here. The permeability to water of this collecting duct is controlled by hormones. After all, a person who is dehydrated needs to have as much water as possible to be reabsorbed into the interstitial fluid. The filtrate, on the other hand, will be very concentrated. A person who has had a lot of water to drink may have less water reabsorbed, and thus that person's urine may be more dilute. Now, we mentioned what urea was and that throughout the nephron there would be times it was reabsorbed and secreted. In the collecting duct, there is a significant amount of urea in this filtrate. But since there is a high concentration, I do want to mention that some urea will be reabsorbed by diffusion into the interstitial fluid too. Urine that is produced by the nephrons of the kidneys will ultimately travel down the two ureters. Then the urine will be stored in the bladder before it is expelled from the body through the urethra. Now again, there are far more substances coming in and out of the nephron than we focused on. But the overall goal is that you can see the complexity of this. It's not just that kidneys are filtering out stuff from the blood. No, the nephrons of the kidneys control the reabsorption of many substances and then the secretion of many substances, and all of this is influenced by hormonal control and the osmotic balance that surrounds these structures. So intricate. In fact, there are medications used to treat certain conditions that act on these osmotic values. For example, diuretics. Diuretics are prescribed for high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, and other conditions. While there are different types of diuretics, one major concept is they tend to increase the amount of water in the filtrate of the nephron, so more water is typically present in the urine. What about a situation where a person has severely compromised kidney function? If a kidney transplant is not ideal or possible for the situation, the person may need regular dialysis. Hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis are options that involve filtering the blood and assisting with osmoregulation. If learning about the kidneys makes you want to explore more, just to emphasize, there are careers focused on kidney function alone.
So I hope it was clear about the functioning of excretory system of the parts of the excretory system. You don't have to do it in this much detail, okay? It was just to give you an idea and information about how this working takes place, okay? The major things that you have to remember are the kidneys, utera, urinary bladder, and urethra, okay? And their major functions, okay? That is the main parts of the excretory system. So we will stop here for today, okay? We will stop here for today. Please complete 4.4 and we will continue the rest of the portion on Monday. Yes, Abraham?
Bye, ma'am. Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. Okay then. I'll be sharing the test paper by noon, okay? Please complete and share. Also, Anna and Shriyan, please share your science paper, okay? Today is the last date to submit it, okay? The science test. If you have not submitted it yet, please submit. And the math test also, kindly submit it by tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow is the last date of submission for math test of today, okay? Okay, see you all then. Have a good day.